He says, I've heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I'm concerned for their suffering. And so I've come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of the land into a good and spacious place flowing with milk and honey. So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. Moses, I want you to do something, right? You got something to do. There's something I need you to do. And so, verse 11, this is us sometimes, isn't it? Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? God, I'm nobody. God, I'm not the person you think I am. This isn't what I'm supposed to do, God. And I'm not qualified for this position. This is not something you want me to do. There's other people that could do it so much better. And then verse 12, I love this. What's he say? And God said, I will be with you.
Amen.
It's funny, if you were here for the last sermon series, everywhere throughout the entire Bible, this just keeps coming up. And it just shines to me now because we spent, a month on God is with us. And everywhere I turn, it says, God says, I'm with you, so don't be afraid. And so these words, they never leave us. God's always with us. But here's Moses, and he said to God, okay, suppose I do this. Go to Israel and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they ask me, what's his name? Then what do I tell them? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you're to say to the Israelites. I am has sent you. And then verse 4, or chapter 4, we move on to the next chapter. Moses answered this way. What if they don't believe me? Or listen to me and say, the Lord did not appear to you? What if they think I'm crazy, God? Well, I'm going to tell them that you talked to me in a burning bush. And they're supposed to listen to me, right? What if they think I'm nuts? And I just think a lot of us struggle with that. You know what I mean? A lot of us struggle with, man, God's told me to do something. God's told me to go to talk to this person, or God's telling me to go do this thing. And our inside is telling us, what if they think I'm crazy? What if this Jesus thing, what if they just don't get it and they just laugh at me? Or what if I go do that amazing thing that God's got planned for me, that God's calling me to do? If I go and do that, what if my friends just quit calling me because they think I'm some crazy Christian? Is that a struggle we all have? We've all got friends in different walks of their life, and we're worried about what other people will think. And we allow it to distract us from the calling that God has on our lives. I think we've all been there. I think we've all dealt with that. And so God then, he says this. He says, what's in your hand? Verse 2, he says, a staff. And he replied, the Lord said, throw it on the ground. And so Moses threw it on the ground and became a snake, and he ran from it. And then the Lord said to him, reach out your hand and take it by the tail. So Moses reached out, took hold of the snake, and it turned back into a staff in his hand. And then the Lord said, okay, now put your hand inside your cloak. And so Moses put his hand inside his cloak, and when he took it out, it was leprous, like snow. Now put it back in your cloak, he said. So Moses put his hand back into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was restored like the rest of his flesh. And the Lord said, if they do not believe you or pay attention to the first miraculous sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe these two signs, or listen, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. And the water you take from the Nile will become like blood on the ground. If I'm Moses, I'm pumped. You know what I mean? Like God's like right here. He's like giving me all these sweet powers or whatever. He can do some sweet things. And so I'm just pumped to go do this thing and lead Israel. And we're going to be this great nation. And we're going to do amazing things. Because I got God with me, and he's telling me all this stuff, and then I got something to do, and I'm stoked. But what does Moses say? I just don't get it. You ever just give someone a kick? There's Moses, verse 10. Moses said to the Lord, "O Lord, I've never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." And the Lord said to him, right, he said, I just can't do it, right? Moses, I can't talk in front of people. I can't. This is not who you want. You got the wrong guy. And I love when God pulls this card. This is my favorite move. He says, who gave man his mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak and will teach you what to say. But Moses said, oh Lord, please send someone else to do it. Come on, Moses. Right? This is just so frustrating. But God says, listen, all of your inadequacies, all of your difficulties, all the things that you think are holding you back, I can use those things for my benefit. I mean, imagine what people saw when Moses would go up to someone stuttering and stammering to Pharaoh and be like, this guy can't do this. You know, everyone else knows it. Moses knows it. Everyone else knows Moses can't do it. But here's God sending Moses to do it. So you are the person that I created you to be. Moses, you are exactly what I desired. You are my masterpiece. And this is the thing that I prepared you to do. And you're letting all of your doubts, all of your struggles hold you back. All of your worries. When I've planned this thing out. I've got this thing together, you know? And God did. I mean, I was just reading Genesis. If you're reading through the Bible with us, we just read about it. God told Abraham, he's like, your people are going to be stuck in Egypt for a couple hundred years, and we're going to lead them out. We're going to do this amazing work, and you're going to be my people. I'm going to be your God. And so God knew that this was all, he had this in plan. He had it in mind. He's saying, Moses, before you were born, before your parents were born, I was thinking about you. Remember we talked a couple weeks ago, God dreams about us. You know, and so here he is, he's got this thing for Moses, and he's chosen him to do something. He's chosen us to do something. And he's been thinking about it, he's been working on it, and he's got it in place. And he's putting it on your heart, and we can't allow our worries or our friends to hold us back. And we just can't do it. There's too many amazing things. Imagine Moses, actually, if you don't know the rest of the story, he did finally go, right? He had to send a buddy with him to talk for him, because he wouldn't do it. But he led the people out of Israel, right? The Red Sea. You guys have been there. And so it really comes down to whether we believe that God has something planned for us. That's really what it comes down to. Because it's not so much whether you believe in God or not, right? Because Moses definitely believed in God. So that's not really what we're talking about right here, because he's talking to the burning bush, he's got the leprosy, you know, he's got the snake, you know, whatever. He believes in God. But James says the demons believe in God, right? They believe. They got better theology than we do, probably. They believe in God. But do you believe that God is who he says he is? That he is working for us, that he's prepared a plan for us, that he's doing something for us. I think probably a year, and when we launched Great Lakes Church, it was one of the craziest things God's ever asked me to do. You know what I mean? I was in a place kind of where my other job was really struggling, but God asked me, he's always put on my heart to plant a church, you know? And I just always figured it would be, you know, down the road, like I'm 30, you know, something like that. And so I'm 24, I don't know if you guys know that. I'm 24. And so God, Pastor Rich and Trina sit down with us, and they say, you know, we're going to plant Great Lakes Church. And we're kind of lucky. Like Pastor Rich said, he'd been working on it for like 3 years, you know, and they've been just praying over it, and just working. They did studies and analysis and testing and just everything you can do to be prepared. Like if you ever want to be prepared for anything, take Rich with you. You'll make sure you're prepared. And so we got to jump in kind of at the very end, you know, right before the big launch. And so we kind of missed all that, but we jumped into this, and I think I talked about this before, but I really felt like Moses standing before God saying, I'm not qualified. You know, I've only spoke a handful of times to a handful of people. There's so many more people that are more qualified that could do a better job. And it's really I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it.